You don't quit because you're weak. You quit because you gave yourself permission. Most people think quitting is a motivation problem. They believe if they just felt different, they'd follow through. But the samurai knew something modern minds refuse to accept. In this video, you'll learn why motivation actually makes you quit faster, the samurai rule that made giving up impossible, how to remove the option to quit from your mind, and the mental system warriors used to stay disciplined even when they felt nothing. By the end of this video, quitting won't feel like a choice anymore. Quitting is an identity failure. In feudal Japan, a samurai who fled battle didn't just lose a fight. He lost his name, his lineage, his existence. Quitting wasn't a setback. It was erasure. They didn't train harder. They trained irreversibly. They removed the option to retreat before the battle ever began. This is not about discipline. This is about elimination. And if you don't understand the difference, you'll keep quitting for the rest of your life. Chapter 1. The modern mind is designed to quit. Meet James. 27 years old, gym membership he doesn't use. A business idea he abandoned. A diet that lasted 6 days. He tells himself he'll start again Monday. He always does. He watches motivational videos, buys planners, sets alarms. He wants it, but every time it gets hard, he stops. Not because he's lazy, because his mind has an exit door. And modern culture built it for him. Listen to your body. Rest when you need to. Don't burn out. Be kind to yourself. Every message is the same. Quitting is self-care. So he quits, over and over, and calls it balance. But here's what no one tells him. The mind doesn't respect what it can escape. A samurai didn't have balance. He had Bushido, the way of the warrior, a code so absolute that deviation meant death. Not metaphorical death, actual death. He couldn't quit his training. His identity was the training. He couldn't retreat from battle. His identity was the stand. He didn't choose discipline every morning. He became our discipline. And once the identity locked in, the option to quit disappeared. Chapter 2. The Samurai Technique. Identity lock-in. The samurai didn't train motivation. They trained irreversibility. Before a young warrior ever held a sword, he underwent a mental death, a ceremony, a vow, witnessed by his clan, his ancestors, his gods. He declared his identity, and once declared, it could not be undone. This is not metaphor, this is psychology. When you make a commitment privately, your brain treats it like a suggestion. You can negotiate, delay, reframe, quit. But when you lock your identity publicly, socially, spiritually, your brain rewires. The cost of quitting becomes unbearable. Loss aversion. Humans fear loss more than they desire gain. A samurai didn't fight to win glory. He fought to not lose his name. And the mind will endure unthinkable pain to avoid losing identity. So the technique is simple. You remove the option to quit by making quitting more painful than continuing. Not through motivation, through identity architecture. You don't say, I'm trying to work out every day, Faye. You say, and I am someone who trains every day. No exceptions, no negotiations. You don't decide each morning. You are the decision. And once you are, the battle is over. Chapter 3. The Transformation, Irreversible Commitment. He's tired of quitting, so he tries something extreme. Something people will call unhealthy. He writes a vow, one simple rule, non-negotiable. I train every single day. No matter what, until I die, but he doesn't post it. He doesn't tell friends. The first week feels like motivation. The second week, it's boring. By week 3, he doesn't want to train. But he goes anyway, not because he's inspired, because he declared an identity, and breaking it would mean becoming someone else. Someone weaker, someone who quits. The brain registers this. Identity violation, existential threat. So it stops negotiating. Days turn into weeks. Weeks into months, people notice. They ask how he stays consistent. He doesn't say man discipline part, he says nothing, because explaining it would reopen the negotiation. The samurai didn't explain Bushido to civilians. They just lived it, and the living became proof. Chapter 4. The Cost Everyone Hides. But here's what they don't tell you. Irreversible commitment isolates you. Friends stop inviting him out. You're too intense, Doc. You're obsessed, Aunt Sen. You need balance, Dot. They mean, You make us uncomfortable by not quitting, because when someone removes the option to quit, they become a mirror. Everyone around them sees their own exits, their own negotiations, their own weakness, and they hate it. The samurai lived apart, not because they were special, because their identity made others feel small. This is the cost. You will lose people who need you to quit so they feel normal. You will be called extreme, unhealthy, unbalanced, and you have to choose belonging with quitters or solitude with permanence. Most people choose belonging. This is why most people quit, not because it's hard, because being the only one who doesn't quit is harder. Chapter 5. Fear as a training signal. The samurai didn't eliminate fear. They used it. Every morning, a warrior meditated on death. He visualized his body failing, his sword breaking, his final breath, not to be morbid, to remove surprise. Because fear only controls you when it's unexpected. When you rehearse failure, pain, exhaustion, when you see it coming and choose to stand anyway, fear becomes data, not a reason to quit, a signal that you're in the arena. So he starts doing the same. Before every session, he asks, what if I fail today? What if I'm tired? What if I don't want to do this? And he answers, I will do it anyway, because I am not someone who quits. The fear doesn't leave, but it stops deciding. Chapter 6. Endurance through boredom. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. Discipline is not exciting. The samurai trained the same strikes, thousands of times, the same stance, the same breath. Boring, repetitive, meaningless to the untrained eye. But repetition is the training, because the moment you rely on novelty, excitement, or inspiration to continue, you give your mind an exit. I'll do it when it feels good again. And it never does. So the samurai embraced monotony. They made boredom the test. If you can't endure boredom, you can't endure anything. So he stops looking for variety, stops chasing motivation. He does the same thing every day, no matter how it feels. And in the monotony, something breaks. The part of his mind that needed entertainment, that needed approval, that needed reasons, it dies. And what's left is pure identity. I am this, so I do this, nothing else. Chapter 7. The permanence. A year passes. He doesn't celebrate, doesn't post progress, doesn't need external validation. Because the commitment wasn't to achieve something, it was to become someone who doesn't quit. And once you become that, everything changes. Not because you're stronger, because you removed the weakest part of yourself, the negotiator. The voice that says, just this once, you deserve a break, you've done enough. The samurai called this voice the second death, the death of the warrior spirit, and they trained to kill it before it killed them. So when people ask him now, how do you never quit? He doesn't have an answer they'd understand, because he's not doing anything. He is something. And what you are doesn't need motivation. It just continues. Ending. Philosophical truth. The samurai knew a truth modern minds deny. You were never meant to be balanced. You were meant to be committed, irreversibly, to something greater than comfort. And that commitment will cost you friends, approval, normalcy. But it will give you something rarer. A mind that doesn't quit, not because it's strong, because it has no other option. You don't train this by trying harder. You train it by removing retreat. You declare an identity. You lock it in. You stop negotiating, and you let the boredom, the fear, the isolation refine you into something permanent. Most people will never do this, because most people need the option to quit. But you're still watching, so maybe you're not most people. Call to action. If this landed, subscribe, not for motivation, for permanence. Like this video if you're ready to remove the option to quit. And in the comments, make your vow. One rule, one commitment, one identity you will not negotiate. Write it like a samurai would.